Thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Hope everybody is well. We've pretty much reached another weekend. Hard to believe that. The end of week 1 of December, and it has gotten off to a pretty cool start indeed. But in today's video, I want to throw a little bit of a warm blanket on the overall winter forecast and discuss the fact that we cannot rule out the mild option on the table. So there is, of course, a level of uncertainty with regards to this El Nino, whether it's central-based, east-based, or a little bit in between. I'm kind of leaning towards the in-between rather than it being firmly central or east-based. The positive Indian Ocean dipole is something that needs to be considered, but while 2019-2020 seen a near-record strong polar vortex and mild conditions across many northern hemisphere locations, including North America and Western Europe. The offset to that is the fact that we have a negative QBO and also an El Nino in place as well, so that kind of offsets the mild potential option. But you know, there's certain niggles here that cannot be ignored. I've ignored it in the past, and it's came at a cost. This is a time of the year when people jump on board just simply to see you fail, and I'm wanting to leave all the options on the table here. No, I'm not sitting on the fence, not not committing to one or another. I have done so. I've committed to the fact that I think it's going to be an average, possibly slightly above average, but it also could go either way. It could actually lean towards slightly colder than average. It depends on how strong and how long either cold or warm spells last. Now, there is niggles with regards to the current stratospheric warming that's taking place between Siberia and North America here. That doesn't necessarily lead to a particularly cold option for Western Europe. So the mild option cannot be ignored. This is part of the winter forecast. Slightly freer December 2015, winter 2013-14, and 2019-2020. While I'm going for the back and forth type winter in 2023-24 with a mix of warm and cold, one cannot rule out the Atlantic dominated winter or high pressure being too close to the UK and Ireland here, essentially stopping us from seeing Arctic outbreaks, etc., etc. Due to the strong El Nino and uncertainties regarding whether it's east or central based, as well as whether it's peaked or not, December 2015 it comes to mind, and there is a pattern that we have at the moment that has a little bit of a less extreme version of December 2015. We're seeing a lot of rain. We're seeing areas of low pressure moving in off the Atlantic here. Now, the Magellan Oscillation has been something I've been harping on about for quite some time. I do strongly believe that the active phase of 8 and 1 helped, fuel the strong blocking over the Arctic, over the North Atlantic, that set off the cold spell in the first place. But as it rotates through the Indian Ocean into the maritime continent, it is entering a warm phase. Therefore, we're seeing both the Arctic Oscillation and North Atlantic Oscillation going back towards neutral. Therefore, we lose the cold spell for now. The question is, the big test comes 20th of December on. As that ridge, as I said in yesterday's video, does the ridge pull westwards again over the Atlantic to allow the Arctic air back into the UK and Ireland pattern in the run-up to Christmas? Big ifs, buts, and maybes, I know, but that is certainly something that we are looking at here. But also winter 2013-2014 is also a possibility, and the reason why is because of the warming that we're seeing within the stratosphere. Canadian warming can fuel Arctic outbreaks into North America, but in turn drive a stronger than average Atlantic jet stream straight at the UK and Ireland. Great for North America, not so for Western Europe. While a positive IOD in itself may have helped fuel the near record strong polar vortex in early 2020, the El Nino and the East QBO likely offsets this. And according to our good friend Richard Trott, a frequent contributor to GAVSWEATHERVIDS, his research suggests that on the combination of a moderate, more moderate as opposed to strong, but an El Nino versus a negative QBO, it increases the likelihood of an SSW or sudden stratospheric warming beyond the new year. And looking at the situation here, I want to look at the stratospheric situation here in particular, because this is at 50 HPA. So this is warming now taking place. This is the lowest part of the stratosphere. And you quite often find what's going on within the lowest part of the stratosphere reflects on the 500 millibar pattern and below. So when you've got this warming taking place from East Siberia across the North Pacific into northwestern North America with a ridge of high pressure over northwestern North America, then you've got the polar vortex slightly off its axis, leaning more towards Greenland and Scandinavia. You have a frequent discharge of Arctic air into North America. But that in turn here, with this situation where we're not seeing warming over the North Atlantic and Greenland, you want to see warming towards Greenland with cold either side to then favour more of a strong negative North Atlantic oscillation Greenland block type pattern. At this moment in time, we're not seeing that taking place. And if we go forward here to a week from now, and this is the option on the table, we've got that continuation of warming taking place from Siberia towards Canada, the polar vortex leaning more towards the UK side, but that is not necessarily favourable. Then as we continue to skip through here, this is off the GFS ensemble, by the way, let's go all the way out to 360 hours and look at 50 HPA, and we've still got that same type of setup taking place where we've got the warming in the same areas, polar vortex centered over Greenland and over Scandinavia here. The problem that I have with this, folks, is that sometimes correlates more to a negative anomaly over the region where the polar vortex is sitting here. That tends to fuel Arctic outbreaks into North America, stronger jet stream, and an overpowering jet that then dominates the pattern for Western Europe, driving Atlantic air into the west of Europe, including the UK and Ireland here. Now look at the CFSV2. This is for January. This is the 500 millibar geopotential heights. And you can see here it is not overly dissimilar to the 50 HPA profile here. Looking at the warming taking place, East Siberia into North America. Look at where the trough is at the 50 millibars. Now look at where the trough is versus the region at the 500 millibars. You can see here blocking over the Arctic here. We've got a positive up the western side of North America into Alaska. That would then allow a trough to develop over eastern North America. But then you can see the negative extending into the UK and Ireland here. That is something that is a niggle here, folks. I'm not going away from the ideas that I've got. I'm sticking to it. Cold potential is there. Not a guarantee, but is there in the run-up to Christmas and New Year in particular. Timing is going to be a big question, but it's I believe the trigger to this is the MJO. Now, inactive phases of the Magellan Oscillation tends to have less influence on the mid to high latitudes. A strong active phase of the MJO tends to have a greater impact, leading to whether it be in the warm phases you strengthen the jet over North America, over the North Atlantic, and into both North America and Europe, tend to drive more Pacific air and Atlantic air into the continents. When you've got it in the cold phases, but an active cold phase, and that is an option. Some of the models are indicating that we rotate back into phases 7, 8, possibly eventually into 1 as well. That tends to lead to more northern blocking, including Greenland blocking here. But there's, like I've said already, there's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes here. But I'm not overly enthusiastic at what I'm seeing with the GFS regarding the stratospheric temperature profile here, and also the CFSV2 here also. So if we look at what Europe looks like in terms of January, and you've got that negative. Notice here it's centered to the north, therefore the jet streams further north, much more Atlantic influence here overall. Looking at precipitation, very wet conditions here, so there is a little bit of shades of 2015 showing up in the CFSV2, but there is quite often a warm bias towards this type of setup here. It is a bit of a default set with the CFSV2, I'm afraid, with regards to this. Like I say, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going against my winter forecast already, but I want to show you everything with regards to what is potentially on the table, as opposed to just a bias towards cold or towards warm here. And in the coming days, I will look at the situation with regards to Christmas and New Year. We are getting closer to the time frame that we're able to look at that off the GFS and the ECMWF. So interesting and exciting times to come. Finally, let's have a look at the latest run of the ECMWF weeklies regarding the 10 HPA temperature anomaly here. So this is week 1. You can see the warming taking place, no surprise. Eastern portions of Russia across the top into North America here. Looking at week 2, you can see it shrinks slightly. We cool things off over Eastern North America. So we need to watch this for the potential of a tropospheric polar vortex outbreak for Eastern North America with this type of solution. Notice here then the warming regroups over our side of the pole, so Eurasia, also over North America, but then there's a renewed warming taking place, and then it looks as if it centers more towards the pole and Greenland. This, folks, is something that we want to see, is that warming taking place over the top and down towards Greenland and the North Atlantic. That can, not always, but can then reflect and mirror what takes place within the tropospheric polar vortex, and therefore we see building heights over and underneath these red colors here representing the below average. So very interesting times to come. I do greatly encourage you to like the video, let YouTube and myself know that you're enjoying the content. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more explanation here with regards to why we're getting a type of pattern, as opposed to just you're getting it. You can get that off the BBC and an extent the Met Office. They'll tell you what the day-to-day weather is doing. I try to show you why certain types of weather patterns develop and how they evolve. It can happen thousands and thousands of miles away, whether it be up above the Arctic or within the tropics, away over the Pacific or Indian Oceans here. The weather is an amazing and wonderful thing, and I try my very best to talk about the big, broad picture. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of today's video. Let me know also where you're watching these videos. I'm quite intrigued at finding your location, what you think the winter may bring where you are, and whatever else as well. So enjoy the rest of your day. I will hopefully be back again tomorrow, and I'll see you then for more weather content. Bye for now.